This is the Podcast Cast, episode 3 of this prologue series. Jack, how would you like to introduce yourself to our fans?
Hello, thank you for listening. Pleasure to meet you all.
Alright, so tonight we're going to be talking to you about your character. Uh, what's your character's name? Let's start with the basics.
Susland Mason.
Susland Mason. Like the bricklayer?
Yeah, his family was traditionally bricklayers, stone cutters, and so that's who his main family was.
Are they still doing that kind of work in the world?
Yes, but at a young age, Susland was. It was seen that he would be exalting, and so a Sidereal came down to train him. So instead of spending as much time with his family as the rest of his brothers and sisters, he instead practiced doing things with, the Sidereal.
Taken under tutelage by another Sidereal.
Yes.
Interesting. What's that Sidereal's name?
I don't know last names very well, but I think the first name will be something like, Fernanda.
Fernanda. Excellent.
An older lady, white hair, looks like a grandmother.
Okay.
She taught Susland how to knit.
That's a good skill, actually. I'm going to write that down. Taught Susland how to knit. My wife actually does crochet, and I love it.
Well, for a Sidereal who's working with the Weave of Fate, there's actually some practical uses for that. But Susland wasn't aware of that when he was a child. It was just, oh, this nice old lady is here, and,
I imagine that she eventually was telling you, like, oh, you should really learn how to knit, so that when you're talking about your weaving fate, you could be doing it while you're knitting. Oh, it'll be so deep. It's important that people think that you're deep.
Yeah.
So, you say parents, like, are his parents, or that they're still active in the world?
Yes.
Are they well known?
No, it was a very small family in a middling-sized town. They were responsible for working on the walls and stuff like that. It was, a small thing, not a big one. His family's still around though. Just their son is out doing weird things that they don't understand. They're very proud of him, but
he he took up a career in entertainment, we think. It's the only reason he could be saying that, or that he wouldn't tell us what he's doing. Aw. Alright, well, what about your home region? Where did Susland come from?
I'm gonna give you a rough description of what it would be like, and I don't know very well in the world where this would get placed.
That's just fine. We can throw a tack on there somewhere.
Okay. He came from a small town along a river, near some woods and some mountains nearby. There was a quarry that his parents went to and got rocks from and organized. They were, not tiny people, but they organized it. And the building of the walls. There was a decent number of attacks from wild creatures on the wall, monsters and what have you. But we were well inside where the I can't remember the names. The terrestrial exalted
Solar Exalted.
Dragon?
Yeah,
dragon.
yeah.
Dragon?
Or the Terrestrial Exalted. I usually call them Terrestrials.
Okay, where the terrestrials had their kingdom. So they had decent protection from the terrestrial exalted that passed through the area. And decent armies and stuff like that. It was not a super peaceful life because of the occasional raid. But considering that no monsters ever really made it into the walls, it was more of like a train passing by. It's loud, it's noisy, and maybe something bad might happen one day if it went off the tracks. But for everybody else living there, it was just This is how things are.
Yeah, that's fine. So it wasn't peaceful, but it was safe.
Hmm.
All right, I like that. There's plenty of places in the world. Basically, anywhere in the world could have that. Would you want that to be on the Blessed Isle?
Sure.
Okay.
As long as there's a decent chance of monsters being there that would be attacking, sure. To have attacks, you need to have things that attack, so.
Do you have a name for your home city?
I do not, but I could come up with 1.5 seconds if I needed to.
Yeah, give it a shot.
Okay. Do.
As we see here, he's
The town of Blue Bridges.
Blue Bridges.
Yes.
Okay,
Because it was over a river, one of the things that had happened is something had happened in the past there that turned everything along the riverside completely blue. Shining, sparkling, gleaming, like glassy type of blue. And it affected all the bridges in the area, and so the town kind of became known to anybody who passed by, and eventually the townsfolk themselves as the town of Blue Bridges.
I love it. Did you get that from a generator or something, or?
Yeah, I
Oh,
have
okay.
my own random name generator that I use.
Well, was the detail also from that generator?
No, I DM on my own spare time, so I'm used to improvising in a hurry.
Gotcha. You know what? I love it when something just comes right off the dome. I'm definitely gonna have to use that city at some point because that sounds super rad.
Thanks.
Does Susland have any siblings?
Hmm.
Do you have any names for the siblings?
The siblings in general, there's some brothers, some sisters. I think I'll only have a name for the eldest, Alyssa. And she would be basically the one that Susland had being closest to. She actually has an idea that Susland is truly an Exalted, as she was there when he exalted.
Okay. As she was present. And I'm going to spell Sidereal correctly. There we go. Because Google Sheets does not have a spell check. It's my fault for using it, but that's fine. That question isn't necessary. I already answered that. You were born on the Blessed Isle. So let's look at your childhood a little bit. When Susland looks back at his childhood, just passing thoughts.
He
How
remembers
does
that
he
it's a
think?
bright, happy time
Okay.
with a few hardships, but he remembers it mostly happy. No real. He remembers it as a bright, happy time, but it's not like he's in a much sadder place now. He just has fond memories of his childhood.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Oh.
one day he'd like to go home and see his parents again, but currently he's doing other things right now.
So it was a bright, happy time with few hardships.
Yeah. Like I said, he has fond memories of it, and it's not though like his life is worse off now, and he'd even like to go back there someday. It's just that he's doing other things right now. He has fond memories of his sister, who he was very close with, and still kind of feels a closeness to. I imagine that he writes her letters and she writes him letters, though how they get the letters back and forth is probably a lot more weird, or at least involved, than it would be normally.
I'm sure that Susland, being one of the chosen, can he has access to people who can do that.
I'm sure.
Either access to people
I
or
imagine it a little bit more thing than, oh, I'm just going to deliver the mail. I imagine it more like, okay, I deliver it here to this office, and then this office takes it in, and then, oh, all of a sudden there's this, like, minor god that ferries the letter to heaven, and then it gets sorted to Susland at some point.
Why are the letters always so weird? Oh, we don't deliver the actual letters. We just read the letters to one another. Isn't that like an awful dangerous game of telephone? We don't know what those are. So, where did he go from there? Like, from his home? Where did he head off to?
Okay, so he headed off, well, he was told about the Sidereal bureaucracy, and he was interested in working there. So he went up there, spent all of 2 years, from 18 to 20-ish, up there before he realized that, having and just reading paperwork all day, well, useful and important, is rather boring. And so he caught himself looking at all the interesting things that were happening, woven into the little bits of fate that he could see and the documents he could read. And he kind of was like, I think I'm going to go do something else. Hey, this looks interesting. There's this ship that's about to set out that, that looks really cool. I think I'm going to go be on that ship. And so he asked permission to leave, even though he didn't technically need to. And when he got it, he smiled, said his goodbyes, tidied up his office, and left.
I love it. Oh boy, what kind of adventures did he have in heaven?
He fought the gigantic creature of overbearing paperwork with, not enough tea time. No, more seriously, the reason why he's going on adventures now is his time in heaven is so, not worth talking about. He was up there, he met people, he met a decent number of Sidereals who passed through, and when he realized that they were just passing through for a short period of time and sometimes not even doing any paperwork and then going out again to check on anomalies in the weave of fate, you can hear those quotations, I hope.
Mm-hmm.
He realized that there might be more to this whole thing than what he originally thought. And so, honestly, the biggest thing he had to fight up there was his own sense of duty to, do what he believed was his job, and boredom. And eventually, well, he finally managed to beat his own sense of duty because he realized is that Sidereals aren't just there to do paperwork. There's actually lots of people who can do paperwork.
I like to think that might have actually been a roundabout lesson. That
it very well could have been.
Yeah, Fernanda was kind of teaching him. He was so kind of enamored by the duty that she wanted to shake that from him. She's like, she tried to explain to you that duty will just hold you back, but you were bright eyed, no, I have a duty to do what's right for people. And so she said, okay. So she brought you to heaven to work for a while and do your duty, and eventually you were like, doing my duty sucks. I want to write all this down, but I don't want there to be a lot of downtime on the recording.
Look, does it really require that I fill out this thing in triplicate? Come on.
About way of showing him that duty is just a word, and that it's more important to go out there and do things. There, we can expand on that as we go. I would love to play out that scene. I'm gonna write that as a future scene. Future scene. Fernanda telling Susland. Is it Susland? It's with a D, right?
Yeah, it ends with a D.
Yeah, I thought so.
Susland.
Let's make sure that I did not spell it that way. I will fix that. So Fernanda telling Susland about duties. A future scene that will definitely happen. I swear, spell check has ruined everything. I'm writing basic words. I'm like, man, I used to be at 120 words per minute, and I'm still there, but everything's just spelled wrong. And is that an apostrophe? Why is it there? So, does he have a spouse?
No, he's single. Yeah, he was so dedicated to doing his duty in heaven that he didn't even notice anybody who tried to show an interest in him. And on Earth, he was a lot more focused on, studying with Fernando, because, he knew some of what he had some idea that she wanted to groom him for something more, but he wasn't sure what. And so he put all of his time into that. He's a very studious person.
Yeah. Did anybody try to make a pass on him?
Not that he noticed.
Oh, I didn't ask if he noticed. I asked if anybody tried. If any future person might show up and be super
I'd say is that
tsundere.
I'd say is that maybe somebody when he was working in the divine bureaucracy probably tried to hit on him. Hey, you want to come out and look at these cool things? He'd be like, no, I've got paperwork to do. But come on, you go have fun. Feel free to take some time off. I'll cover your work. You go enjoy it. I'll stay here and do your paperwork. But I don't have any specific names. I imagine though there's probably one in the celestial bureaucracy that another Sidereal that he ran into that was sweet on him.
All right, so Susland might end up being the center of the future harem that we're building.
No,
this is happening. But he's gonna have no idea that this show is secretly a harem because all of it happens off scene. I'll just spend like half an hour recording episodes in the middle and editing them myself, and then just releasing them. Meanwhile, in the harem side of things, like, why won't Susland-kun notice me? I guess. Why won't Susland-sama notice me?
Oh dear.
I'm kidding, listeners. That's probably not going to happen. But I mean,
that probably scares me. That should be It's definitely not going to happen, listeners.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. I'm a firm believer in the Ruby rule. Don't push that stuff on players. It's DMs, GMs. Come sit in the circle for a minute. Let's turn our chairs around. Turn our hats around. All right. Now we're going to mount those chairs Riker style. Don't force relationships on players. However, it's perfectly okay to have an NPC have a crush on them as long as you don't put that stuff and make it gross. All right.
I wouldn't mind an NPC that tried to have a relationship with Susland. It's just Susland, as he is right now, is far too dense to understand such things.
I know, that's why I love it. I just love the idea of some god just being like, he just totally snubbed me. He's so rude. And he has no idea. And nobody even cares about this god either. It's just going to happen. I just want you and the listeners to understand that when that happens, it's going to happen, and then it's going to be gone. And if you did not listen to this, you'd be like, what was that? Is there a secret harem anime happening here? Yes, there is.
Okay, moving on.
I'm sorry.
Aside.
I just drank way too much tea, and I'm having way too much fun with this.
But tea is supposed to make you British, stoic.
I don't want to do a British accent. I really don't want to do that.
I'm honest, I can't do accents. I just cannot get them right.
All right, so you're not going to do a fun accent for Susland?
No.
No fun voices?
Susland is honestly very, very... Very much it's me talking in my me voice.
Okay.
So honestly, and you can attest to this, Insulin.
Mm-hmm.
When I GM, I don't take different voices for the characters either. I'm a bad GM at that.
Aw. I don't think so. I won't crab at you guys for not doing fun voices. I will try to do fun voices. We'll see how long that lasts. Listeners, don't at me. Or do. It's fine. I'll answer.
Good day, Gunner.
Alright.
Top of the morning, yeah.
Well, so what kind of resources is Susland working with?
What type of resources is Susland bringing with him?
Yeah, like, did he make any friends or alliances when he was just along his travels?
He's got definitely... I'd say he definitely has a decent number of friends in the celestial bureaucracy, like in the paperwork filing rooms and stuff like that. Like, they're probably willing to cut him a bit more slack. But, outside of that, he basically packed enough money to handle his time down back in creation. Grab some, normal looking-ish clothes. that honestly looked very, very much like a holy man, though he doesn't realize it. And just took a trip down. He basically shows up to the boat with some money, some clothes on his back, and some basic personal necessities, and that's basically it. He's traveling light right now.
Okay. I like that he's dressed like a holy man without realizing that he's dressed like a holy man. Accidentally oh gosh, what's that word for somebody who's pretending to be a holy person? I can't remember.
I mean, is it really pretend? Is it really a charlatan when you're the person who orders gods around?
Not really. I mean, it'd be a little funny for somebody to declare that your character is a charlatan, and then you get that cast mark glowing, and they go, "Oh, I guess I have to repent now." to you, the guy who. Oh no, has that happened? Damn.
Not yet. Not yet. Basically, he's been here a very short time. For listeners, if you've watched Firefly, I kind of imagine that he shows up a lot like Shepherd Book does. Just kind of wanders through there, goes, "Oh, hey, I'm gonna get on that ship." Though he knows ahead of time what ship he's getting on, and just kind of like, "Hey, you need an extra crewman? Saw you hiring."
Okay. Was the ship that he initially left to get on the ship that we're going to be on in the game?
Yes, it was Trent, I believe. Trent's ship.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, he took a look and he saw some interesting things, potentialities in the futures that could be woven for Trent's ship. Well, especially with two Exalted already on it, going out west. So he kind of went, "Yep, that sounds like a really interesting thing to be around." So he decided to join in, essentially.
What kinds of things did you learn? Like when you were being educated? Like what's he...
Outside of weaving and knitting and stuff like that, a lot of what Susland knows is paperwork, more paperwork. He's actually fairly decent at reading and weaving fate, as it's something that came fairly naturally to him after his, being tutored his entire childhood in it without knowing it. Though his actual practical use of it so far has just been very, very minor, shifting how the Weave of Fate is being weaved out by the spiders, just slightly. Instead, a lot of what he knows is paperwork, but because he has so much practice with paperwork, he's still got a semi-divine connection to mentally mentally going through the paperwork from a distance. Like, he has an intuitive sense of what paperwork would have to be filed for a given situation. So when he reads the future and predicts what's going to happen, it's more along the lines of, "Oh, I filed for this before, this is going to be a certificate 62BA-213-E for Exalted. Oh, this one's going to be 2-A-21-ABA. Stuff like that for Atrocity of Exalted.
What do you say to him knowing how to pass messages back to you, Sean, by doing certain actions?
Absolutely.
Okay,
yeah,
I like that idea.
Yeah,
it's cheeky. I love it.
Yeah, a lot of his stuff is paperwork based. Like, it sounds boring, but when you're an Exalted, you can make even paperwork kind of very useful.
Yeah, if you spill salt in just the right way, you'll get someone important to notice.
Yep.
Where am I gonna find salt?
Oh, come on, we're on a ship. If we can't get salt from a ship with a god of fire, Exalted of fire, we've done something horribly wrong.
Hey, you're assuming that the oceans aren't all fresh water.
Are they?
I don't know, are they? Have you been to the ocean before going to the ship?
I'm sure I can pull in some favors and make the ocean salt if I bribe people hard enough.
I mean, have you though? Have you seen the ocean before going to the ship? Or will
No, I
that?
haven't.
Okay.
No, this will be my first time viewing the ocean on anything other than maps.
Or being on the ocean. Okay. So your city was was definitely inland then.
Oh yeah, definitely inland.
All right. Home city. Inland. Let's spell words with letters. There we go. So I'm just throwing semicolons instead of L's.
Eh.
All right.
If
Okay.
you want to see a real catastrophe, switch your home keys to 1234789 and then try to type.
My home keys.
Where you rest your fingers at rest.
Oof. No, thank you. Now you want to see someone really go nuts, though. You replace the semicolon with the I think it's the Latin question mark, which is a semicolon,
Oh no!
and then have them do programming. And
Oh.
listeners, don't do that. Do not do that. I see you. I see you pausing our podcast. Don't. All right. Well, you're back, and I guess you've done it. I hope it was worth it, listeners. I hope it was worth it. So clearly, you've exalted before the game's beginning.
Yeah.
And did you like exalt and then kind of get whisked to heaven, or did you spend some time in creation before going to heaven?
Exalted and then pretty whisked to heaven, like, a day or two to say goodbye to his parents, and then bloop, off he goes to do his new duty. Now that he understands that he's, a Sidereal, he's off to do his duty. Don't worry, no, Fernando, I'll do it. I'll be the best bureaucrat ever. And she's just sitting there shaking her head.
All the while, Fernando's just like, "Ah, great. No, don't worry. I'll shake this out of him real quick." Yes, duty. Got it. Can you tell me about your exaltation?
Sure. It, in the scheme of things, was not really that impressive. The masonry of the wall, there was a crack in it that shouldn't have been there. That actually should not have been there. And one day when a monster, something large and terrifying, smashed into the wall, the masonry shattered because of that crack, crashed down, and the monster broke into the city. And Susland was there when he saw this, and he knew from being bricklayer, in the family of a bricklayer, he knew from spending time on that wall, practicing his weaving and his knitting, he knew from long experience that crack was never there and never should have been there. And it was wrong. Things were not as they should be. Reality itself had been twisted and had been broken, and it didn't make sense. And instinctively, he shifted how events had happened. He removed that crack retroactively from that wall, and time skipped a beat. And when the monster crashed into the wall a moment later, the wall didn't shatter. Everything was fine. And to everyone else, it was just a moment of deja vu. The monster is, for some reason I thought it was going to break through. Yeah, deja vu, okay. Well, keep shooting, men. But to Fernando, his sister who had been with him at the time, and Susland, they knew that something major had happened. His sister saw him reach and grab and tear at the strands of fate itself to change how things had happened. Fernando, being nearby and having an idea that this was going to happen, immediately said, "Yep, he's exalted." And Susland was mostly just really confused because he did it in a fit of, panic and just, this is wrong.
Okay. Maybe that could have been him sensing basically that doomsday clock.
Mm.
And instinctively, because it's like, instead of like retroactively, like to him and his sister, he retroactively did it because they saw the events as they were going to unfold.
Mm.
And so before those happened, he basically used his magics to go, no.
Yeah.
And so to everybody else, it never happened, but to them, like, especially
Yeah.
like your sister was like, "What? What was that?" And then Fernando was there, going, "Oh, hey, there you are."
Yeah. Basically. Yeah. From Susland's point of view, and it's being explained to him that that's not how it happens. But from his point of view, he sees disastrous events happen, and he knows that he can change how they're going to the outcome of how they're going to flow.
Mhm.
Sometimes only a tiny bit, sometimes quite a bit. But he has an instinctive, like I said, grasp of altering how the weave is going to play out just for a moment. That's why, for example, in the intro session we did, when the lightning was about to strike, he was able to shift where it was hitting off onto the ocean.
Yeah.
Because for him, it hit, and then he shifted it. To everybody else, it just had always hit the ocean.
Yeah, I like that. It's like the camera goes into Sherlock Holmes' view, where you're like, all right, this is gonna happen, then this is gonna happen, this is gonna happen. No.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very much, that's a very good way of putting it.
Okay, I'll try to do that during our game. Let me make a note of
Also,
that.
it provides a good thing is if you say something and I have a way of altering it through one of my charms, being like, nope, that didn't happen. I'm doing this to make sure it didn't happen like that. And now, any moments like that that happen, viewers, now you know that it's really just Susland's prescience, I believe is the proper term.
Prescience, I think.
Prescience kicking in, and that never happened. It just, from Susland's point of view, it did.
Problem before.
Susland is aware of the retcons.
Susland is the retcons.
Yeah.
All right, I like this. I think we got a good bit hammered out. There's always room
Yep.
for another one of these episodes as we go.
Yeah, I think it's good. I think it pretty much covers who Susland is. He's a guy who probably needs to just relax a little bit.
I like that we're starting the. Maybe I should go relax. Maybe I should go on an adventure.
I'm going on a 3-hour cruise, guys. Be back soon.
That's episode
No,
1 of
only
900.
the old people will get that one.
Yeah. Was that a? Oh gosh. I know what you're referencing.
Gilligan's Isle.
Yeah, there we go. I was trying to think of the characters' names too, and I'm like, why am I thinking of the characters' names? I don't know the characters' names.
You do because you've heard the intro where it talks about all of the characters.
No, but that's the thing is I don't know the words to that song. So I'm like, why am I trying to remember this? I don't know this. I got your
Yeah.
reference though. I did it, which means
Woo.
I'm an old person. You hear that, listeners? I survived to be an old man.
Congratulations.
Yes. Alright, so this has been our introduction to Susland, Jack's character in our upcoming Exalted game. I look forward to playing it. I look forward to running it. I look forward to all of our downloads that you all are going to do. And most importantly, I look forward to keeping you all busy at work. I've been Insuling, and Jack, would you like to see us off?
Sure. Have a good day, viewers. Hope everything's wonderful.
This has been the Podcast Cast, signing off.